Hey guys, Massacre here, and today I am back for episode number 9 of r/SupernovaRevenge. I forget if it's 9 or it could be 7 for all I know, but what I do know is that I'm the only person on this subreddit right now. Literally one online, and that's me. And I'm only got one story for today because there's so few stories. I'm actually going to try and spread it out a little bit just to make it to 14 episodes on this subreddit. Yeah, I'm having to actually stretch for this. So yeah, I only have one episode for today, or one story for today. Capture the Flag Massacre. No, seriously, someone almost died. Cross-posted from r/NuclearRevenge. I think you might have misspelled that because there's supposed to be an R in revenge, not just the one R. Because some people said it actually belonged here. Alright, so apologies if the formatting is bad. I'm on mobile. Additional apologies for the fact that I'm even more long-winded than your stereotypical grandpa. I was not the one enacting the revenge in this story, but I figured it was of epic enough proportions that deserves a place on this subreddit. Now, everyone knows that children, despite their reputation of being innocent and all that, can actually be scheming, bloodthirsty little monsters, right? We all know this, but it's still shocking at times to see just how far that can actually go. A few years back, when I was maybe 12 or 13, my family and I took a trip out to this summer camp sort of place in the northeast. Now, none of us have ever really been outdoorsy types, understatement, but this place actually seemed to cater to that. It was like outdoor fun for people who hate the outdoors. We stayed in actual houses instead of cabins or tents. We had a buffet and a dining hall, etc, etc, etc. Basically, it was just a resort with the theme of camping. Because of this, the majority of people were like us. Families from the city or suburbs who wouldn't know the difference between poison ivy and poison oak. This ended up being a pretty big role in what went down. So, one afternoon, all the kids in the 9 to 14 age group are sent out to the woods to play Capture the Flag. There's a short ton of us, maybe around 50 or so we needed the big area. Plus, being in the woods admittedly made the game more interesting than just playing in a gymnasium. Now, because you could actually hide the flag instead of just having it be in plain sight the whole time, we were split into two teams, red and blue. Me and one of my sisters, SR for sister red, were on the red team. My other little sister, SB for sister blue, was put onto the blue team. Of the three of us, SB was the closest thing to outdoorsy that we had in the family. She liked to play in mud and run around outside until our family called her back in, and she was fast too. Not like first place in the track team fast, but when compared to the other kids there, trust me, she was fast. So combine that with her massive competitive streak and desire to win, and even though she was on the younger side, 9 or 10 at the time, she ended up being one of the blue team's MVPs. So the first round began. Me and SR hung back for most of it, at most pacing up and down the boundary line to make it look like we were hunting for members of the other team. SR has a relatively mild form of cerebral palsy, meaning that she has no depth perception and has trouble using her right side, including her right leg. As such, a game of Capture the Flag on the bumpy ground of a forest wasn't really her idea of a good time. The first round ended after only about 10 minutes, with the red team winning. Apparently the blue team hadn't hidden their flag very well, and the red team had no problem swooping in and stealing it with ease. There was a fair bit of trash talk from red to blue. It was nasty, certainly, a lot of calling the blue team idiots and slow and the like, but it was really just childish boastfulness. It definitely didn't warrant what happened next. The two teams are given 7 minutes to hide their flags and talk strategy. Me and SR sat this out as well, just kind of hanging around at the edge of the woods, pointing out cool birds and stuff until the 7 minutes are up. The whistle blows and round 2 begins. Again, SR and I begin pacing the border, except this time there's a problem. Apparently the blue team had gotten really angry at the trash talking from the last round and were trying a lot more aggressively to win. As such, one of the elder boys from the blue team was trying to cross the border, saw SR and essentially checked it into a tree and kept running. This guy easily had at least 75 pounds on her and was enough to send her sprawling to the ground, slicing up her face on a branch along the way. I heard her yelp and rushed over. The sight of blood pouring down my little sister's face as she tried to not cry infuriated me, and it took all of my restraint not to go charging after the kid and just start wailing on him, but I didn't. Instead, I helped her up and started walking her back to the picnic tables where the counsellors were sitting. We hadn't made it far before we heard the cracking of branches behind us. We turned around to see SB sprinting towards us, looking panicked. SR, of course, tagged her, but SB didn't even react. Unusual, to say the least. Instead, she started talking very quickly. It was hard to make out what she was saying because she was breathing really heavy and stumbling over her words a bit, but I did manage to make out the words, "rigged the flag." I was about to ask her to slow down and explain what she meant before a blood-curdling scream ripped through the forest, freezing everyone in their tracks. And then another, and another, until suddenly the woods erupted in a chorus of screams and shouts and stampeding feet. In the ensuing chaos, it was all I could do. It was all I could do to try to shield my sisters from the wave of terrified children rushing away towards the counsellors. The game was called off, and it was utter mayhem for several minutes as everyone tried to figure out what was happening. I remember a counsellor cleaning and bandaging SR's face. It was a tiny cut, really. It just looked a lot worse than it was. I remember a whole bunch of kids getting whisked off to the sort of impromptu nurses station they had set up. I remember a lot of crying children. I also remember the sounds of sirens and the sight of flashing red and white lights as an ambulance pulled up. The counsellors called the entire blue team over several minutes later. They were furious. It took a while as there was still mass confusion, but I was eventually able to piece together what had happened. As I mentioned before, the blue team was really upset at having lost the first round, and even more upset at the red team's ensuing jeers. They didn't just want to win, they wanted to get even. There are 3 kids who hid the blue team's flag. 2 boys and a girl, all about 10 or 11. The girl was actually from the area, meaning she had knowledge of the forest. Way more so than any of the other kids would have. The 3 of them were looking around for a place to hide the flag. Apparently they were already looking to hide it in a patch of poison ivy or thorns or something, when the girl spotted something on the ground in this one clearing. She suddenly had a better idea. The 3 of them placed the flag in the middle of the clearing, pretty much in plain sight. SB, who was offering to help be a guard this time round, asked them why they would hide it somewhere so obvious. The girl, who are referred to as LS for little sociopath, simply grinned and told SB that she didn't need to worry about being a guard this time round. In fact, she really should try to put as much distance between herself and the flag as possible. She said that last bit with a very obvious hint type tone. The 2 boys, G1 and G2 for Goons 1 and 2, laughing as she said it. The second the game started, SB said she started running to try and find SR and I, hoping to warn us of the apparent danger. She had no idea what it was they had actually done, but she knew that whatever it was, it couldn't have been good if they were that smug about it. She made it to us in time, though it's not like either of us would have actually been going after the flag anyway, but unfortunately no one warned the red team scouts who stumbled across the flag first. It was a small group, maybe about 4 or 5 kids, who spotted the blue flag just hanging out in the clearing. Completely unguarded. Now, everything about the situation seemed pretty clearly screamed trap. But these were fairly young kids, so they didn't think twice about charging in blindly to grab it. They must have taken a few steps before one of the boys stepped on this innocuous looking pile of dead leaves and sticks, tripping a little on the small hole in the ground that the leaves had been concealing, and all hell breaks loose. See, what had happened was that while they were hiding the flag, LS had spotted something none of her less outdoor inclined teammates had noticed. A relatively small, almost perfectly round hole in the dirt. Now, if you had grown up in the cement-covered city or suburbs, this probably wouldn't have meant anything in particular to you, but LS had been born and raised in the woods. She knew full well what that hole meant, or rather, what that hole contained. She, along with G1 and G2, had very carefully arranged some of the leaves in the area to make the hole less obvious, then promptly booked it in the opposite direction. The poor unsuspecting scouts stumbled into the clearing only a minute or two after the game began, and in the haste to grab the flag, they stepped directly into the giant nest of yellow jackets that had been hidden under the leaves, causing the irritable insects to swarm and attack the unfortunate children. Oh, fuck. That was bad enough as is. The kids got stung countless times, running in a blind panic as the Wasps enacted their wrath upon those who had destroyed their nest. One girl got stung all over her face. A good number of them got scratched up, running directly into trees as they fled, but this one boy got the worst of it. Comparatively, he didn't get stung any more than the rest of them, but it did turn out that he had an undiagnosed allergy to stinging insects. Well, it was definitely diagnosed now. He went into anaphylactic shock and had to be rushed to the nearest hospital. He survived, but it was a really close call, and he didn't come back to camp after that. The counselors interrogated the three kids, as everyone else on the blue team sold them out in a heartbeat, SB included. At first, they tried to lie their way out of it. They started by trying to claim they hadn't known it was there. But obviously they had, as their entire flag setup had been built around it. They then tried to claim that they thought the nest was dead. But again, they'd clearly been trying to conceal it, so they must have known it was alive. Still, they tried to play dumb, right up until one of the counselors got really mad and snapped at them that they might have actually killed someone. Silence. Finally, G1 broke down and confessed everything. LS had pointed out the wasp nets, told them what it was, and they had all hidden it, fully intending to use it as a trap for the red team. G1 said between sobs that they'd been really upset at the red team and wanted to get even, but that he hadn't known it would be this bad. Again, we were almost all city kids. He thought it would just be like a bee sting or two. He hadn't known just how aggressive and dangerous wasps actually were, and certainly hadn't known they could kill someone. But here's the thing, LS did. She knew full well what yellow jackets were capable of. I don't think she was necessarily intending to kill anyone, but she was certainly intending to seriously harm other children. All over a few childish insults thrown around in a game of capture the fucking flag. I don't know what happened to them after that. I know for a fact that LS and her family were kicked out, and I'm pretty sure the same was true for G2 at the very least, and maybe G1, but I don't know anything beyond that. I'm not sure whether she could have been arrested for it, because she was like 10, but if one counselor hadn't had an EpiPen on hand, she had a similar allergy, then that one kid would have died, and I'm pretty sure that counts as manslaughter. Anyway, children are terrifying. TLDR, member of the losing team of Capture the Flag, infuriated by winners gloating, decides to booby trap the flag with a wasp's nest and nearly kills a kid in the process. Oh my god. God damn. Wasps are very aggressive. They are not the same as bees. Bees don't die after one sting. They could just continuously sting until you're dead. Like, holy shite. I feel like LS needs to go to jail for doing that. Or, not jail, like juvie. Juvie would be the limit. But, like, she actually was, like... She knew how dangerous it was and still went through with it. And with that, I'm going to end this episode here. Links will be in the description to my main channel and also the second channel, along with links on the screen to the playlist in the last episode. Go check them out. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. A ding, a ding. I'm the Mad Scientist. Mad Scientist out.